This is a session about SQL Managed Instance and Fabric. I hope you all came because of the Managed Instance, right? Not really, I know, I imagine. We never had, in the previous session, so many people when we talked about the Managed Instance. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so just to make, before we kick off, we imagine that you will have a couple of questions, especially the technical questions, but we will take them at the end. It's just a 20-minute session, meaning like we show you a couple of things and then we'll stay for a couple of minutes. Happy to take your questions. We don't know if we have the answers. We'll find it out. I mean, I'll blame my co-presenter if we ever fail. I think it's time. So let me reset the time and let's start. So everybody, welcome to Azure SQL Managed Instance and Fabric Fusion, a speed session. Today with you are Bogdan Gavrilovic.
Hi, I'm Bogdan. I'm a product manager at Microsoft. I was previously a bioinformatician, mostly on the analytics side. Now I'm a product manager in the SQL organization, mostly on the transactional side. So today my attention will be split between the two.
My name is Nico Neugebauer. I'm also a product manager at Microsoft. And in previous life, before Microsoft, I was building OLTP and OAuth solutions for the customers. With that, let's go into the real content. We do assume that you have some technical knowledge about the products connected, and you are excited to discover the topic of Fabric integrations. Before that, worth mentioning, we have a couple more sessions, the SQL Managed Instance product group. Feel free to attend and reach out, maybe for the...
most of the sessions are already done, so maybe the slide is not really...
That's all fine. Yes. All right, let's go.
Thank you, Nico. So let's step back and talk about long-term modernization in Azure. In Azure, we try to keep things evergreen with cutting-edge features. So when you think SQL Server, you think modern, right? That's the first association, new things. So this is unique to Azure, having the latest and greatest bits in SQL Server. So in Azure, you don't have to wait for the next SQL Server release to have all the greatest stuff. You have them. Some examples you saw in the keynote, like finding the best focaccia near London, where a lot of cool new features were used, like native JSON types. And as I said, these are all available before the official SQL Server release in Azure. Of course, backwards compatibility when all the new stuff are introduced. No one is going to break your application. The backwards compatibility is preserved, guarded by compatibility levels. On the other side, there's the whole ecosystem, right? There's this cross-service integration. There's a plethora of Azure services that you can integrate with if you're using SQL Managed Instance. And not just Azure, there's also the whole Microsoft ecosystem. And the most important thing that we're going to cover today is, of course, Microsoft Fabric and how we integrate with Microsoft Fabric between Managed Instance and it. Of course, hardware evolves. We're partnering with AMD in this conference, so had to put this in the slide as well. As new hardware generations go get released, hardware specs get better. We get newer CPUs, faster memory modules. Pretty much you have this handled for you. Upgrades are done for you in the background. You don't have to worry or buy new chips or recycle old stuff. And last but not least, especially in the current economy and trend, cost optimization. This is something that's on everyone's mind, and there are a lot of movement in this area, trying to offer customers the most levers possible and the most means to optimize cost. Even though we run a business, we also want to have happy customers, not getting a feeling of being ripped off, right? So you don't want to have no power to optimize your resource consumption. And we have a lot of examples for this. We have Azure Dev Test Pricing. I'm not going to go into details. That's for a different sales pitch. You have Azure Hybrid Benefits. So you have SQL licenses. You can reuse them in the cloud. You can have reserved instance pricing, so commit long-term and get discounts. You get a free license for geo-disaster recovery standby replicas. You don't pay for them. For the license, you have a start-stop capability. So if you don't need your capacity, you can stop it and restart it later on. And of course, you have the flexibility to readjust service tiers, to right-size your resources, to react pretty much to your application workload or whatever, to optimize your cost at the end. Next slide, please. Okay. So, as in life, you want to have a good neighborhood. You like to have like-minded people. You like to spend your time and talk with people that are ready to help each other, who share the common goals, the common interest. You don't want this old lady living downstairs from you who's always ringing your bell saying your kids are too loud, which in my case, my kids are well-mannered and behaving well, but the tangential about my building situation aside, the good neighborhood is a good thing to have. And in the example of SQL MI, as I mentioned, there's a plethora of, I like this word plethora, of Azure services, but also Microsoft services that provide good integration points. Some of them allow you to do it in the do-it-yourself manner, where you can have the flexibility you need to support specifics of your organization, so there's no like mind-ready capability. While with other services, there's like an out-of-the-box integration. It just works, quote-unquote, manner, abstracting away complexities, not needing like whole integration efforts. Let's double-click again into integration with Microsoft Fabric. So let's talk a bit about Microsoft Fabric in case this is the first time you see it. You won't learn what this is, but if you know already, you'll probably know. But I'll still say what the gist of it is. At the core of it is it's one lake. So pretty much this one lake comes automatically for every Fabric tenant. You get it. You sign up with Fabric. You get this one lake. It's designed to be the single place for all analytics data in an organization and to be used by multiple analytical engines or your weapon of choice for analyzing your data. And here we see we have some, in this one lake, you can put your customer data, your finance data, your service telemetry, business KPIs, whatever. You can use Spark, T-SQL, Custo query language to analyze, of course, depending on the data types and your goal, what you're trying to do, different things. And you can use all sorts of tools, anything from the Synapse toolkit, quote-unquote toolkit, Power BI, or my personal, like as a bioinformatician, I was used to Notebook, like mostly data exploration. So you have plenty of choices to analyze this abundance of data that you put into this one lake. So we're going to talk about integration with Microsoft Fabric. So the integration is bidirectional, so you can read query data from Fabric in MI or vice versa. Let's start off with data virtualization with ADLS, not to be confused with ADSL, so these are not modems. On the right, or my left, or your right, we have an Azure SQL Managed Instance running a SQL server. You have some local data, which is in your like managed instance, and you can create external tables in there, capturing data from external sources.
So just to add to this, you might have heard about the data virtualization feature. This one is available in Azure SQL Managed Instance and on SQL Server 2022. Anybody has heard about, anybody's using this? Okay, oh, awesome. Cool.
It's a mixed cohort. Some have used, some have not. So I'll add some more. Like why do you need it and how do you use it? Like with this you can combine external data with your local data in the MI and run using standard like T-SQL queries. You have this unified method of querying this data. You can get real-time insights. So let's say you have a large data set stored in data lake. Instead of importing it to the database, pretty much you can query directly. So this real-time access enables you to gain this insight without data movement. You have schema flexibility, so you can query the files as is. If the schema changes, you don't have to like re-architecture anything or change your ETL or anything like that. So you have that. Of course, this comes with cost savings by avoiding data duplication. You reduce costs associated with storage, right? Data management. You only pay for the compute resources that you use during the query, right? You have scalability and agility as the data landscape evolves. You can easily incorporate new data sources without any changes again to the architecture. It can adapt quickly to changing business needs and, as I mentioned previously, changing schema. And also from a security and compliance side, data virtualization maintains the security boundary between the managed instance and the external data sources, so you can control access permissions and ensure compliance with data governance policies. So in summary, this simplifies data access and reduces costs, so you don't want to move database around. As for the supported sources and data types, you can query data which is stored in Parquet files, in CSV files, or in JSON, and it can be either in Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2 or in Azure Blob Storage. So all this is possible with managed instance and with data virtualization, right? But there's also the other way around, right? So if you have data in SQL Managed Instance, you want to place it in one lake and then analyze it there, right? That's probably why you're here, right? There's a feature in SQL called create external table as select or short setas, or I don't know how to ketas, or I don't know if it's even a word. But yeah, the gist of it is you run a query to create this external table. You specify the destination for your query result, and it lands pretty much in a Parquet file in one lake for you to use whatever, as I mentioned previously, weapon of choice in Microsoft Fabric to analyze these Parquet files in the future. So we can do like I have a short demo where if it will start. Okay, so I can create an external table called Fabric Sales creatively here, and I specify a location in Fabric. So I want to save it in Parquet file, and I just select everything from the sales table. And now I switch to Fabric interface, and because I'm a notebook guy, I'll open a notebook. I'll create a new notebook in my Fabric workspace, and I have an option to like copy the file path relative to this notebook and paste it here in a simple like data frame read Parquet command. And if I run it, I can see that, I mean, it just read the Parquet file. It's not some black magic, but I can see the data that was pretty much moved from SQL Managed Instance into Fabric for me to do whatever I want. I didn't get too creative here, but that's just the starting point. The rest is up to you once you do this. This is cool, but there's some room for improvement, right? What we want to do, what we want to enable, like I had to run a query and it saved the file somewhere, right? But we want to enable real-time, near real-time data from the operational SQL databases to the analytics platform, right? We want to have reduced total cost of ownership, unify data across domains, clouds, and we want to separate storage and serverless compute, like one from the other. And ultimately, we want faster time to insights from BI to AI. Of course, every presentation needs to have AI, so I snuck it in here. So from BI to AI with data that's always available and that's always synced with the source database. This is something that we would like to have, right? This is something that would be cool to have. And I presented this boring existing stuff, and Nico will present the cool new things.
Oh God, no. Okay, so actually, let me ask you, not you. Let me torture a little bit the public, like the moment of suspense. Do you realize actually that with the data virtualization, it is a perfect method of communicating with the Fabric? Because you are not only allowed to write into the Parquet file, you're also reading for it, and it doesn't take a lot of effort to set up a pretty easy workflow of automating it. So you do not have to wait for any solutions we might or might not I'm communicating here is a Fabric mirroring PM watching my back. If I say wrong stuff, he will punch me. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. You can automate, and you actually can communicate with any of the Fabric services right now on Azure SQL Managed Instance and on SQL Server 2022, just by using the CTAS. Maybe some creative usage of views, and check out some videos from 2 years ago when we presented that feature originally developed on Managed Instance. I actually showed how together with ADF you can do a pretty good combination of the cold and the hot data. Anyway, well, there is a slide for that probably. Mirroring in Microsoft Fabric. Have you ever heard, anybody can raise their hand if they heard about mirroring? Oh, so few people. Oh, most of you are shy. Well, then let me refresh. I see that, I mean, I'll do the educated guess that some of you, what do you think when you hear the word mirroring? Do you think about the database mirroring? But that's not that kind of a mirroring. There was, for those of you who just run BI and do not care whatever the online transactional processing part ever does, there is a service which ran around 2005 or something, and actually if you search for it, that's the first result. That will be a wrong result for the mirroring, just making sure. So what is a Microsoft Fabric? Is an end-to-end data solution where you have multiple sources delivering the data into one lake, and then you have all range of existing and the future services which will be able to consume it. Anybody has an idea what do we store in one lake? What is the ultimate format, the open format that is being used? Parquet files, right. That's it. So the whole idea is for the online OLTP data sources to deliver the data in the Parquet format into one lake for later analytics. So we already have available Azure, Amazon, and Google data exports through the shortcuts. And I will tell you no secret that Snowflake and SQL database are some, I'm concentrating on delivering the message. Yes, delivering the message right is some of the sources that will become available. Maybe, sorry, who knows? So let me do a little introduction. That's a beautiful slide because it keeps the mystery. It's on purpose. I did no favor, I promise you. So what is mirroring in Azure SQL database to Fabric? Basically, what we did is for SQL database, not for SQL Managed Instance at this moment, there is a possibility of using a live database and use a live extraction, or I will use a dangerous word, replication, or maybe like CDC kind of operation, but on the steroids upgraded, including awesome stuff that CDC does not do. Sorry, going back. To replicate data to some internal staging point where the replicator service, which is not exposed to you, will take this data and convert into the Parquet consumable format in one week. I'll be honest, and probably excessively honest, I want to warn you about the words near real time, introducing the IT concept of it depends. If you pour it into your OLTP 1 terabyte and you do expect 5 seconds later it to be in Parquet, Houston, we've got a problem. It will not take 5 seconds. Just making sure we are on the same page. But you can then, once it is available, you can use the DW, you can use the Power BI, Fabric, ADF, Fabric Spark, sorry, ADF, whatever, your favorite tool. So near real-time replication, granular control for configuring mirroring. You will have the initial snapshot for your tables. And after this initial snapshot, we will deliver the replication that will keep the data in sync with every single transaction. We do use the database change feed technology, CDC on steroids. The transformation into the Delta tables are automatic, and intelligent logic determines when the source has been changed. Basically, we will do all the necessary stuff. You need to enable it and just enjoy the results. That's our promise. Detailed monitoring is available, like, whatever detailed for you, please give us the feedback. Like, is it enough? Do you want to see more details? Like, I don't know, for those of you who are administrators, you want to see on LSN level, on the log sequence number, what is being replicated, what is not. Give us the feedback. Doesn't mean we'll give you all what you are asking, but please use this opportunity. And mirroring experience for Azure SQL DB roadmap, it's the near real-time replication is coming to you, can I say at the conference next week? Okay, in English. It's coming to you next week. And then unified editor experience in Fabric is coming. Oh, that means it will be enough for everybody. All right, so thank you very much. Thank you for listening. Please share the feedback. Reach out to us. Have a wonderful SQL Beats. Thank you. Now we can take the questions, if there are any online or live. Yes? No questions online? Oh, they've all fell asleep probably. That we did such an entertaining session. Yes, go ahead.
So with database mirroring, do you get to choose what you want to mirror, or do you just mirror everything?
Okay, the question was, will you be able to mirror every single database, or can you choose what is getting to mirror to be mirrored, right?
Yeah, so on a per table basis.
Table base. So you will have an option of including everything, every single table, and you can exclude the tables from mirroring. I need to give you a generic statement regarding what will be supported regarding the data types at which point, okay? So if you have right now, let's say a blobs inside the table, for whatever reason, not judging, of 2 gigabytes, and you expect them to be replicated, I don't think it's going to happen in March or April. What happens later will happen later. So be aware, talk to Mark Pricemeyer, who is the PM, watching me very closely of what I'm saying. There are sets of limitation, but you have the flexibility of picking what serves you and what not, and including the new tables you create in your source automatically.
Right, thanks.
You're welcome.
For the mirroring, I mean, just look at the slide. Is it just for Snowflake and SQL Server then? Is it just available as we, as
So,
it presented?
Sorry? And Cosmos. Okay, so right now, to my understanding, nothing is available, no services. SQL DB mirroring will be announced, will be available next week at the Fabric conference. The other sources will come later. They all 3 of them will be available at the next week.
Yeah, for mirroring, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That gentleman.
Can the mirroring include any of the normal sort of ETL sort of transformations you do, like calculations and so on, or is it just mirroring the tables?
So the question is, does the mirroring includes all the logic? You mean like SOAR procedures and views? That kind of logic?
Yeah, and any sort of like calculations you might normally do going into sort of...
Yeah, I'm being thrown out. I'm happy to take the questions, direct them to Mark Pricemeyer, and he's happy to take them. Thank you. Sorry.